Hello and welcome to episode number 227. This is the Project Management Podcast at pm-podcast.com, and I'm Cornelius Fichtner. This is once again one of our premium episodes, recorded for all you premium subscribers. Thank you so much for your support, and don't forget that you can earn PDUs just for listening to this. Please go to pmpodcast.com/PDU to learn all about it. Whether you are a project manager, a technical lead, a team leader, no matter what your official title, you are expected to get the project completed through others. Project success depends upon your abilities as a coach, a team builder, and skillful motivator. There are a few natural-born leaders. The top project managers made the journey to effective leaders by using their talent and focusing on learning the important skills needed to succeed. In the upcoming interview with Carla Fair-Wright, we will cover the 5 levels of leadership defined by the internationally recognized leadership expert John C. Maxwell. You learn what they are and how to apply them on your own leadership approach. Well then, lead the way and enjoy the interview.
The Project Management Podcast's feature interview.
Today with Carla Fair-Wright, President of Houston project management firm Optimal Consulting.
Hello, Carla. Welcome back to the Project Management Podcast.
Hello, Cornelius. Thank you for having me on the show again.
Sure. Well, last time we talked about how to recover from mistakes, and now we want to talk about John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership, and you claim that they are your key to project success. Now, we've talked about project leadership a few times here on the podcast, and I usually start out the interviews about leadership pretty much with the same question. I want to do exactly the same with you here. How do you define leadership? What's your take on it?
In my view, a leader is someone who is able to communicate the vision and establish direction. The purpose and the goal of effective leadership is to forge and align what are called high-performance teams. When you think of management really focuses on the planning. Now, we have to do that. That's part of it. But the focus, the singular focus for managers is process and structures and measuring performance. So leadership takes it another level up, if you will.
Are there any differences in style between managers and leaderships?
Managers primarily focus on the shorter range, directing, controlling, whereas leadership is more about enabling, developing, challenging, inspiring trust. Good managers do things right, and good leadership does the right thing.
Let's see, we're going to talk about these 5 levels of leadership, but first of all, they're from John Maxwell. Frankly, I had never heard of him before. Who is he? How did you come across him? Why did he develop these 5 levels of leadership?
John Maxwell is an internationally renowned leadership expert and coach. I came across one of his lectures, I believe it was Success Magazine, and I was intrigued. The whole idea that that leadership is built in blocks, that it can be structured, that there's levels. And as we talk about the levels, the thing to keep in mind is you can be at a certain level in one aspect of your life and yet be in a totally different level of leadership in another. Say in your church or organization, you may be a 3, and we'll get into that. Whereas perhaps on your new project, you're a 1. So these things are very fluid, and they move from one area to the other.
Okay, well, that's good to know, because as I was preparing myself, I looked at these 5 levels and I thought that they would be exclusive. You know, you're either one or the other. So it's interesting for me to learn right off the bat that, you know, you could be a 1 here and a 3 there. So let's get started with these 5 then. So we have these 5 levels. Maxwell has structured them bottom up, sort of almost like the pyramid. that we have from Maslow's, but it's not a pyramid, it's more like a stack. And the one that he has right there as number one is position. What does he mean with level one of leadership is position?
Level one leadership, this is when you are assigned a project. You are the project manager for XYZ project. So you have a position, you have a title. To be an effective leader at this level, you just have to accept the responsibility and exercise that authority with caution, of course, and assess the strengths and weaknesses of your team. This is a given. Everyone and anyone who is a project manager has this position. This is the level one. This is the ground floor.
And I was just going to say that you need that, right? Even if you move up these 5 levels, if you don't have the right, if you don't have the position to lead people to begin with, then, well, they're not going to follow you pretty much no matter what, right?
Exactly. Think of them as building blocks, one on top of the other.
All right. Then the second one that builds on top of position is permission. What is that?
This is true leadership, and this comes from when people accept you as their leader. They want to follow you willingly because you have built relationships.
Oh, they give you permission to be their leader. Is that the idea?
They give you permission. Exactly.
Okay. Carry on.
So at this level, you want to see life through their eyes. You're trying to build a rapport. You have to deal wisely with difficult people. We all have them. We all work with them on our teams. It's a part of life, fact of life. So you have to find techniques that allow you to build those relationships. And you're making your team successful. You're setting them up for success as well. But the key to success at this level, the permission level, is that you express a genuine concern for your team.
So we're talking about relationship building as well?
Yes, these are soft skills, but they are so important.
All right.
Yes.
And we tend to?
We tend to ignore the soft skills sometimes, and I think that's a lost opportunity for us to leverage some advantages that we may have later on in the project with our team.
Okay. We're moving one stack up to level 3, production. Now, what is that?
Oh, level 3 production. This is so important. This is what production really qualifies and separates leaders from people who merely occupy a leadership position. And what I mean by this is level 3 leaders, their influence intensifies because they are consistently generating results. And we know that this is a great motivator for people to see that there's progress. You're producing, you're at the production level. And what you're doing is you're creating a winning culture so that you get this momentum and you get high morale. In a sense, it's your reputation, and you're building that and you're making things happen. And this is going to attract high achievers to your team because they want to be a part of that.
All right. So we've had level 1, position, level 2, permission, level 3, production. We have level 4 and 5 coming. But before we go there, let me ask you a personal question. Where do you see yourself? Where are you in these 5 levels?
I have been working on level 4 for the last 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
So does it take everybody that long, or is 2 years a short time to get from level 3 to level 4? I don't know.
It depends.
Don't want to assume. I'm sorry.
Truly,
it depends. Okay.
It depends. I'm going to be very honest with you. To move from a level 3 to a level 4 requires an emotional IQ and a maturity, because at this level, this is where you're developing people now. So you've got to have a basic understanding of how to do this. There's some mentorship, there's some coaching, there's all kinds of things that go into reaching this level. It's not a very easy level to get to, and when we approach level 5, that's when we really find out that there are very few people that ever get to level 5. Level 5 is almost innate. It's almost something, these are the Jack Welches of the world that reach this level. So for me, at a level, I've been struggling with level 4 for quite a while, and I think I'm almost there. I'd like to think I am. In some sense, in some organizations, I am a level 4, perhaps, and some I'm not.
All right. So we've already taken a little bit ahead, gone a little bit ahead of. Level 4 is people development. What exactly does that mean? And what makes it so difficult that it takes? I mean, I would consider myself, I have to tell you, also a level 3 desperately trying to reach level 4. So what is it, and why does it take us so long to reach that?
Well, at level 4, you're transitioning from a producer of profits to a developer of people. And so what you have to understand fundamentally is that people are an organization's most appreciable asset. You want to think about they're reproducing, at this level, you're reproducing your influence by growing your own teammates into leaders. Um, you're developing an eye for talent, and you want to do your utmost to bring out the best in each person within their sphere of influence. So you want to unleash what is called the unique strengths of the people on your team. And what this does, it raises the entire organization. So it's profound, and it's also very difficult.
Right. Okay, so we've seen these 4 levels, and people always talk about situational leadership. Um, in your view, appropriate leadership behavior, what does that depend upon?
That depends on several things: the organization that you're in, the composition of the team, what level they are at, and there's certain levels. You may have people that really want to do a good job, but they don't have the experience to do that. And what they would call that is an S2 level. So you're working with those people and you're in a coaching sort of environment. And then you may have people that are highly proficient and they really want to do a good job. In that place, you're just delegating tasks. You're not really having to do much of anything. So what you need to bring to the table varies, depends upon the team, the organization, and of course, the project that you're on. It could be a very complex project, such as an engineering project, where they're very highly technical, or it could be a very simple project, such as planning an event. So you're going to base what type of leadership is going to be most effective in that arena.
Moving on to the top of the 5 levels, level 5, pinnacle. Now, that sounds very interesting. And like you said, those are the Jack Welch, those are the real big leaders that there are only a few in the world. Um, what, what makes somebody a number 5, a level 5?
In my opinion, you have to have it innately. I think at this level, these are naturally gifted people. They're naturally gifted leaders. They've built a reputation for excellence, and people follow them because of who they are and what they represent. Think of Mother Teresa at this level. Pinnacle leaders, they've created a legacy that transcends their organization and it extends way beyond their own industry.
One thing that goes right through these 5 levels again and again is high performance project teams. And I think that's where we want to get to as well as leaders, right? We want to be able to turn our team into a high performance project team, right?
Exactly.
Now, what I find interesting, again, our discussion today is based on a presentation that you have done on these 5 levels. And on one slide, you say high performance teams are created. Can you tell us a little bit more what you mean by are created?
There are 5 elements that define a high performance team. And this is, if we go back to Lencioni's 5 dysfunctions of a team and reverse that, we see that number 1, they trust each other. Number 2, they engage in unfiltered conflict around ideas. They're not afraid to state their ideas. They're not afraid of productive conflict. Number 3, they commit to decisions and plans of actions as a team. And most importantly, number 4, they hold each other accountable for delivering, against those plans that they've created. And fifth and foremost, they focus on the achievement of collective results. Building high performance teams is extremely difficult. It's not something that is easy to measure because of what we're dealing with intangibles, but it's probably one of the greatest assets of successful projects. You see this a lot in projects that are highly successful. You see all the team members are cooperating with each other and supportive of each other, and they have that commitment. At this point, if you built a high-performance team, you basically rendered yourself irrelevant, but you're still a leader. Now, you still have to have the leadership capabilities, but effectively, if the team can continue without you, then you've achieved your mission.
How do you develop such a high-performance project team? Do you have any steps that you would suggest that we go through?
Well, first of all, at the very basis is trust. So your team members have to be able to trust each other. So you as a leader, you need to create an environment where people feel safe voicing their opinions, where the backbiting and the backstabbing and some of the political things that we see going on with a lot of teams, it comes from a sense of mistrust. They don't trust each other. They feel that they can't express their true opinions, and it's getting people to really be creative in the process, to really feel that they're invested on the project, that they have value to the project. As a project leader, that's your first and primary directive, is to get people to feel that they can share, they have a common bond.
All right, so there you have it, the 5 levels of leadership as per John Maxwell. They are position number 1, permission number 2, production number 3, people development is level number 4, and then level number 5 is the pinnacle. Now, Carla, give us some tips here in closing out this interview. What can our listeners, project managers, do with what they have learned today? How can they apply this, implement this in their projects, on their teams, on themselves in the coming days and weeks?
The greatest obstacle to being an effective leader is fear and self-doubt. These are things that happen to us internally. So we've got to work on that inner man. We've got to overcome our own fear and self-doubt so that we can move forward from that position to the permission. So we need to be aware of those people skills that are necessary to get us there. You have to get along to go along, as they say. If you want people to go along, you have to get along with them. So we really want to build that relationship, because from that point, that's the spring forward. So first of all, we master ourselves. We master that fear and doubt. And then we can begin to build relationships with the people on our teams so that we can move into level 3, which is really where you want to be. You want to be at a level 3 level on your projects. You want to be productive, and you want to be driving results. And then 4 is a bonus, and 5, well, 5 is something that you would probably end up dedicating years and years to reach. But I'm sure once you're there, it must be the greatest thing to have that kind of influence in the world.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Carla, for having me on the program today. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Cornelius.
And that was our discussion with Carla Fair-Wright on the 5 levels of leadership by John Maxwell. That's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. As always, you can find us on the web at pm-podcast.com. If you're a project manager who wants to become a PMP or a PMI ACP, then the easiest way to do so is with our sister podcasts. The PM Prepcast for the PMP and the Agile Prepcast, obviously for the PMI ACP, and study for the exam by watching the in-depth exam prep video training from pmprepcast.com. Please send your emails to info@pm-podcast.com, and when you write, please do tell me where in the world you are writing from. And finally, we have this. Few great men would have gotten past the Human Resources Department. Until next time.